Herzlich willkommen zu einem weiteren Video auf deinem Kanal From Centeredness to Awesomeness. Mein Name ist Sandra und ich freue mich heute unheimlich, dass ich dir die nächste Serie von Videos präsentieren darf. Und zwar sind das Gespräche, die ich hatte mit einer guten alten Freundin von mir, die zugleich eine Klientin ist bei mir. Es handelt sich um Mahny Djahanguiri. Sie ist international tätige Ashtanga Yoga Instructor und der Founder of Doga. Sie hat auch schon erfolgreiche Auftritte gehabt bei Britain's Got Talent, beim Simon und erst gerade letzte bei Persia's Got Talent. Und wir werden über natürlich Ashtanga Yoga reden und über tägliche Routinen und was das für sie bedeutet. Und wir werden ganz viel von ihrem Wissen, von ihrem Insight können aufsaugen. Und ich hoffe, dass es dir auch so viel Spaß macht, wie es mir Spaß gemacht hat. Es sind immer sehr tiefe und spirituelle Gespräche mit ihr, wo wirklich das Level weitergehen. Und ich möchte mich an dieser Stelle ganz herzlich bei dir bedanken, bei dir, wo immer zuschaut, wo immer zulässt, wo vielleicht auch das eine oder das andere kann in den Alltag integrieren, wo ich sage, wo ich da mitteile. Es ist mir ganz ein grosses Anliegen, dass ich möglichst viele Menschen kann erreichen kann mit verschiedensten Werkzeugen, Tools und Insights. Die nächsten Videos, die Gespräche, die ich geführt habe, werden auf Englisch sein. Aber das wird für die meisten wahrscheinlich kein Problem sein. Ganz viel Vergnügen, nochmal ganz herzlichen Dank. Ganz viel Glück, Happiness, Bewusstheit und Leben im Moment wünsche ich dir auf dem Weg. Ganz herzlichen Dank. Namaste, deine Sandra. Yes, please. So, actually, we wanted to talk about routines, how they support us, how they can support our everyday life, our nowadays very stressful life. Do you have certain morning routines or evening routines that you really religiously stick to and gain a lot from?
I mean, yeah, most importantly, Ashtanga. Yeah. I mean, I've been practicing 22 years Ashtanga. That was continuing with dance. I slowly moved into yoga, continued with dance, and then eventually after 35, I stopped dancing and only did yoga, Ashtanga. So for me, still the most important practice is my Ashtanga yoga practice, even though it's not daily. It's solid 22 years of primary, and it becomes deeper and deeper and more powerful. And with the lockdown, it's the first time, it's what we call drishti. So in yoga, ideally we want to start looking inwards at ourselves through the practice. And when you go to a yoga center and you do what we do, self-practice in Ashtanga, in a shala, you do get the inward gaze, especially when you wake up at 6 a.m. and you get to the shala at 7 a.m. You're still looking inwards because you're not awake. Your mind's like, ugh.
Yeah.
And I'm not a morning person. I can sleep for England. Like, I hate mornings, to wake up early.
Yeah.
I find it really difficult. But what I've done with the lockdown, surprisingly enough, I notice I don't even have to get up at 6 a.m., 7 a.m. to get an inward gaze, because I'm so isolated, dealing with myself in fear, what is going to happen, that my yoga practice is my sanity. It's such a powerful inward gaze at the moment, that every breath you take, it really, every breath has a meaning. Every movement, every warrior one starts making sense, because I'm really feeling it and I'm really coming from within in my practice. It's not easy getting on that mat with that much anxiety. And to say, start the chant. We start with Om Bande Gurunam Charanar Vinde Sandarshita Swatma Sukhava Bhude. I pray to my lotus feet of my Supreme Guru, who teaches me wisdom, who guides me through the jungle of conditioned existence, who teaches me how to hold a sword, to go through the jungle and discriminate with the sword conditioned existence of the mind, the conditioned existence of the mind, who teaches me wisdom to hold the sword, to distinguish good from evil, who guides me through the jungle of conditioned existence, and who turns poison into medicine, the medicine king. To him I prostrate, to him I bow, but it's actually not to him, it's your own inner guru.
Exactly.
And this is why we start with a prayer.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the end of our Ashtanga, it's the Shanti mantram, which is the Om Swasti Brajabhya Hapari Parelatam. Anyway, I love Vedas. And it ends with Om Shanti Shanti Shantihi. And that means, may all leaders, now listen to that, may all leaders rule the world correctly for the sake of humanity and the sake of the prosperity of the land and the fertility of the land, and for the well-being and happiness and peace of the land. Om. So we chant for world peace at the end in our practice. So coming back to the inward gaze, like, I have never practiced like this before. I mean, I think if I start going back to the shala, I'd be like, oh my God, I'm a bloody yogi now. You know, I really, in all this time, like, didn't know how powerful the mind really is and to deal with it. And this is what I'm saying, the breath body movement brings the mind back into stillness.
That's true. Yeah.
The breath body movement, this is the Ashtanga sequence. It's not, it's one theory, but to merge with the breath, stilling the mind, stilling the emotion and the mind and the body and the breath are all connected. There is absolutely no separation to how I breathe, to how I feel. And the path of the yogi is to be able to control the breath and be aware of the breath at all times, which I'm not.
Yeah, that's interesting, because now during lockdown, my boyfriend and I, we have practiced almost daily, hit high intensity interval workout. And it's fascinating how when you really push yourself, your mind gets so focused, and you have to concentrate on your breathing as well. When you really push yourself and your body, and you have to overcome that innere Schweinehund. My focus has been so sharp, and when focusing on my breath, because I try to catch some breath before I do an exercise, so I slow down the breath to get more oxygen in. So I take a deep breath, and that's so I'm so in the moment then. I'm not thinking about the exercise before, and I'm not thinking about the exercise that comes. I'm just really in the moment, and that's super, super nice. Super nice feeling. That's like being in the flow.
In the flow.
Yeah.
It's what you call yoke between the mind body, the yoke. Yoga means to yoke, to unite, to joke.
Yeah.
Unite mind body.
Yeah.
So there's nothing beyond the mind body in that sense. There's only supreme. In yoga, they say the supreme omnipresent God, existence of God, but the mind body thing is what you're working. Yoga is a practice, it's a dedication, it's a practice, it's a discipline of the mind body connection, and the chitta-vritti nirodha, the cessation of the mind stuff. Yoga is the discrimination of the cessation of the mind stuff, the chitter-chatter of the mind.
Yeah.
That's all it is. It's not even as people say, oh, yoga is spiritual. No, it's actually a mind practice, mindfulness.
Exactly. Do you experience
Sorry.
Do you experience that chitter-chatter, that monkey in your in the mind, like, no, come on, let's have like a coffee, or let's not do the yoga now or the Ashtanga now? Do you have that chitter-chatter?
The whole time.
Really?
The moment especially with the home practice, when you go on the yoga mat at home, I check the floor for any breadcrumbs, and then I have to start hoovering first, and then I get the hoover, and then I start, I have to go back on the yoga mat. I'll find anything to distract me from getting my fucking feet on the yoga mat to start my prayer.
Okay.
And the hardest thing is, now that's even harder, because practicing at home, you then do your sun salutation and you find another breadcrumb on the floor halfway through, and you think, do I need to pick this up now? This is going to drive me insane. I can't practice. There's a breadcrumb on the floor, and Robbie's just dropped the bloody doggy biscuit on the floor, because you're in your own building. You're not in a shala, you're not in a school of thought, you're not in a yoga center. You're in your bloody four walls finding stuff on the floor that distract you. And I know that this is my neurosis, my chitter-chatter of the mind stuff, and I know that this will pass. I know this attachment to the breadcrumb is my own anxiety, and I know, this is really funny, that this breadcrumb is not that important, and that I will forget about it in the next breath if I cease to continue with the practice. And the beauty about Ashtanga is it's a rigid practice. It never changes. It's the same breath. It's the same postures. It's called primary series. And in the end, I don't even know, I have no thought, because I'm in shoulder stand. I'm ready for relaxation. So I think the chitter-chatter of the mind stuff is so highlighted with this isolation. And yet, what a great opportunity to let go. What a great opportunity to actually tackle this and to look at the floor and say, I'm not going to get the hoover, because I do have OCD. I love my hoover. I've always loved hoovering. It's a thing, perimenopause. But and I know that this hoovering is an anxiety, part of my obviously much deeper rooted anxiety about the fear of losing myself, losing my parents, not seeing my friends and everything. So the opportunity arises, like you said, of viewing the chitter-chatter of the mind stuff even more in a magnified way, and going, there you go, and letting it go, and practicing letting go. So